Episode 8 of Dragon Ball Daima may have given us the best animated fight in the history of Dragon Ball. This episode comes right out of the gate swinging with Goku battling Tamagami No.3 for the right to take the 3-star Dragon Ball. I'm not going to recap the fight blow for blow, but if you haven't watched this episode yet, or even if you have, I would ask you to go back and look over some of Dragon Ball's most iconic fights and maybe some of the ones that were your favorites and compare them to this one. The action here is fast-paced without having to rely on those super speed cuts of teleporting around to different places to showcase just how fast these characters are moving. And I really appreciate this series going to the lengths it's gone to show us classic martial arts in Dragon Ball again, and not only that, but to animate it in such high quality that it is incredibly impressive. Goku and the Tamagami fight with their preferred weapons, but it's not until Goku is almost crushed by the hammer against a mountainside that he realizes he's gonna need to go Super Saiyan for this one. Once he goes gold, Goku is able to use his Nyoibo to break the hammer of the Tamagami and remove it from the picture. Of course, Glorio and Ponzi are shocked to see Goku doing so well against an opponent that they were told that even Dabura wasn't able to beat. And they're additionally surprised to see Goku put away his Nyoibo for the rest of the fight, opting instead to finish it with his bare hands. It seems like they use base Goku to represent the OG Dragon Ball series and have him do more of his fighting just in plain old martial arts. And then when he does transform, that's when all the stuff we're used to seeing in DBZ kicks in. That's kind of a smart way to do it. That way everybody gets a little bit of what they like from each of the different aspects and pieces of Dragon Ball's history. Anyway, back to the fight. Goku and the Tamagami trade ki blasts with each other until the Tamagami goes for a big move where he destroys the ground underneath their feet. In response, Goku decides it's time to use the Kamehameha, and although he doesn't specifically say that he does this, the animation strongly implies that he ascends to Super Saiyan 2 for this attack. It can get confusing sometimes to tell which form Goku's supposed to be in because there have been times before where he was supposed to be in Super Saiyan 2 but he had his regular Super Saiyan hair design. I think he's supposed to be in Super Saiyan 2 here after the Kamehameha because he's got the lightning aura associated with that form. The Tamagami manages to deflect the Kamehameha, but he leaves himself wide open and Goku just elbows him in the gut. After that blow, the Tamagami just surrenders, and though Goku seems to suggest that the fight shouldn't be over yet, the Tamagami assures him that he can see just how strong Goku is, and though maybe he does still have the strength to continue the fight, he knows he would eventually lose anyway. And with that, Goku has defeated the first of the Tamagami. However, he can't take the Dragon Ball just yet. There's one more challenge he has to face. The Tamagami removes the Dragon Ball from his chest and puts it in one of the 5 cups that he set up on a table in front of him. Then he slowly starts mixing the cups around, eventually picking up speed to the point to where it becomes pretty much impossible to follow along. And the final challenge is set. Goku can take the Dragon Ball if he can figure out which of the cups it's under. Ponzi's freaking out, and Shen tells her that while he was able to keep up with which one it was under for a bit, he lost track at some point, and I don't think Glorio was able to follow along to the end either. So which cup does Goku choose? None of them. He says the Dragon Ball is out in the crowd. He says the Dragon Ball actually got tossed away at the last second and turns around and points to the crowd, where, of course, the Dragon Ball is floating above one of the spectators' heads. And with that, part 2 of the challenge has been completed and Goku actually does get to take the Dragon Ball this time, with the Tamagami saying that he likes Goku because he's a fair fighter. I like this as a challenge for Goku because it tests his ability as a warrior to make sure that he can keep up with such high-speed movement, but it also tests his integrity and forces him into a situation where most others would probably try to cheat. And Goku passed that test with flying colors, even leaving an impression on the Tamagami because once he and the rest of the crew get back on their ship and leave, you can see the Tamagami practicing Goku's Kamehameha stance on his pedestal. This first Tamagami fight is a lot of fun, a lot of good high-quality animation, and the Tamagami himself has a good personality. I guess them having such loud personalities is supposed to contrast them just standing there waiting for somebody to challenge them at all times, never moving, never speaking until somebody wants to claim a Dragon Ball. They're kind of like gargoyles in some sort of a way. Now, something I thought was interesting is that there was a holographic Dragon Ball in the tree near the platform for the Tamagami. We saw this for the first Tamagami in one of the earliest episodes of the show, and I thought that was the actual physical Dragon Ball. But once Goku claims his Dragon Ball, that hologram disappears. I'm getting those RPG vibes again because it's really feeling like Goku getting this Dragon Ball is just like in one of those games where you get a key item that will now allow you to progress to a new area. I'm wondering now if maybe there's a chance that Light Gate that keeps the second and third Demon World separate was dispelled because of that Dragon Ball, but that's just a guess. Who knows if that's how it works or not. As the celebrations start, Glorio gets a phone call. It's Dr. Arensu wanting a status update. He confirms to her that they now have one of the Dragon Balls, and she's surprised that things are going so smoothly. Then she says it's time for her to begin her main plan, which I'm guessing is because she's feeling pretty confident right about now. Meanwhile, while Goku and friends are on their way to the Warp Sama to get to the second Demon World, we see Degasu and Goma going back over the fight with Majin Buu against Vegeta. It's interesting that the two of them are still really focused on whatever was going on during that era of Z. But this time when rewatching these old fights, Degasu sees something he didn't notice before. An unknown person was present during that fight. They zoom in on a video and they're able to see that Dr. Arensu was actually on the battlefield that day when Vegeta self-destructed against Majin Buu. And after Buu was blown to pieces and just before he started to pull himself back together, Dr. Arensu took a piece of him for herself. So Arensu knew what was going on back then, and Goma theorizes that it was Dabura who probably told her about Buu in the first place. Then we cut to Dr. Arensu, who has gone to visit a being known as Marba. This character, who seems to be some sort of witch, seems to have been hired by Arensu to come up with some sort of concoction using the essence of Majin Buu. The purpose of this concoction is to create a brand new Majin that will be totally loyal to Arensu and Arensu alone. But Arensu's not so sure that Marba's creations will work because apparently they've been doing this several times, and each time the Majin that was created was not strong enough to take Arensu down, and she needs them to be much stronger than herself. Marba assures her that this time, because they used the essence of Majin Buu, this new Majin should work perfectly fine. Then we get the big revelation from Arensu that it was Marba who actually created Majin Buu all those years ago and not Bibbidi. That would explain why she's got the same gigantic M on her outfit that Majin Buu had on his. Marba initially denies this, but after Arensu points out that Bibbidi never had the ability to create a Majin, she sort of reluctantly admits it. Then she states that Buu threw the demon world into turmoil, which I'm guessing is why so many of the other demon races left, like the Glean and the Nemeks. Though that's really got me interested in this whole history of the demon realm now, because if Buu wrecked the demon realm, and then somehow Babidi was able to take control of Demon King Dabura, then was there some sort of conflict between Dabura and Buu before this all started? How long was Buu going on a rampage in the demon realm before Bibbidi and Babidi took him out into the proper Universe 7 and started destroying planets? Marba tells Arensu that she needs one more ingredient for the concoction to be complete, and that's a little bit of saliva so that the Majin won't actually have to talk to Arensu in order to communicate with her. As magical potion stuff starts to happen on screen, Marba tells Arensu that she expects some kind of reward for all of this hard work, and then Arensu tells her that she'll reward her if she's able to become the Supreme Demon Ruler. So now we know that Arensu also is looking to take down Goma. She wants to rule instead of him. I'm really liking this because now we've got multiple bad guy groups all trying to reach the same goal. It's a lot of fun. It reminds me of how Vegeta operated against not just Goku and Gohan and Krillin on Namek, but also against Frieza and the Ginyu Force. Bad guy versus bad guy stuff is always a lot of fun, and it's going to be really interesting to see just how many people are gunning for that throne. But Marba knows that despite his looks, Goma is quite powerful and he'll be hard to beat. But Arensu assures her that even if things go wrong with the Majin, she'll just use the Dragon Balls instead, which completely takes Marba by surprise. Marba tells her that it's impossible to use the Dragon Balls, but Arensu just says, "No, actually, I already have one of them." I really like how this is presented here. Goku and his friends are gathering the Dragon Balls just so they can get themselves back to normal and save their friend, but they don't know that they're actually gathering the Dragon Balls as part of Aransu's grand plan to take over the Demon Realm. They're working for a bad guy and they don't even know it. Then we get to the end of the episode and not much happens here other than we see that Piccolo, Vegeta, Bulma, and Hybis have finally arrived in the Demon Realm and they're trying to figure out what the best way is to connect back up with Goku. The only thing of note here that happens is that Vegeta gets embarrassed by Hybis because Vegeta's arrogant personality just seems to make him cocky to Hybis, and because he's not a king, he just chooses to ignore him. And while it does fluster Vegeta a little bit to be dismissed so casually like that, he does decide to play nice and ask Hybis to please share that information with him. The end credits roll, and then we get a tease of the next episode titled Thieves, which seems to suggest that the Dragon Ball is going to get stolen. This was a really good episode, I think. Not just for the fight between Goku and the Tamagami, but also for this gigantic revelation that not only was Dr. Aransu present for the fight between Vegeta and Majin Buu, but also for revealing who the true creator of Majin Buu was and adding a whole nother level to the lore of the Buu saga. I think Masako X said in one of his videos that Daima really feels like an expansion of the Buu saga as opposed to being its own sort of separate series. And I think that's a very good description for what this series feels like. It feels like they're trying to honor all the different eras of Dragon Ball. They're trying to give you a little bit of OG Dragon Ball, a little bit of that flair from Z, but they're also trying to expand on some of that stuff that was left so vague in the Buu arc. And when you think about it, this really is the perfect part of Z to expand on, because Frieza was tied into the history of the Saiyans, and so you already had some established lore to go off of. And with the Android and Cell sagas, that was a throwback to Goku's fight against the Red Ribbon Army. But what was Buu's connection to the history of Dragon Ball? There was none. He was just asleep on Earth for centuries and nobody knew. Then Babidi and Dabura just show up looking for Buu, and none of the characters there have any history with anybody in the show except maybe Spopovich having previously fought Mr. Satan at a World Martial Arts tournament. But once again, Daima has provided us with new information that just leaves us asking more questions, and that makes this a really fun series to watch. What do you guys think? Did you like the fight between Goku and Tamagami No.3? Or do you think that it just doesn't live up to the hype of some of the older fights in the series? What about this revelation of Maraba being the creator of Majin Buu, and Aransu's plan to create a brand new Majin for her to control? Do you think that Aransu might actually stand a chance of dethroning Goma and taking over the Demon Realm? Or do you think this little imp with his goofy personality is actually just as strong as all of these characters say he is? Thanks for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You can donate to my channel over on my Ko-fi page if you want to do that, or maybe become a member of the channel. Now, I'm going to go look over all of my Dragon Ball DVDs and Blu-rays and see if I can find Dr. Aransu hiding out in the background of any other sagas in the show. It'll be just like Where's Waldo, except with an anime demon witch.